Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Episode 190 is brought to you by our supporters. If you'd like to support the show, head on over to patreon.com/TheWildernessPodcast where you can do that. We also got some bonus content and some other little goodies for you if that's something you're interested in. Special shout out this episode to Wild Rhyhorn for supporting the show. And also a big thank you to all of our top tier supporters as well. Gent New, Spleemo, Sejuan, Mallard, Twisted Soul, Jay Blaz, Z-Space, and Strosity. But if you still want to support the show but don't want to use Patreon, you can head over to buymeacoffee.com/Dilz, where you can do that instead by buying me a virtual coffee. So thank you to What's the Matter, MF Hugh, and P. Wudo for keeping me caffeinated this week.
Oh, I must have missed him like 20 times.
Oh my god, I was doodling at the end. I was so scared.
Oh, I did it.
You had over 2 minutes for the third
I
set,
did it.
for that next set. Congrats, dude. You're free.
Holy sweet mother of God.
All right, Heartless, this is a big week for you.
Yeah, it sure is. Yeah, it's been massive.
All right, so, this is episode 190. Welcome, everybody. Dilz and Heartless here. There's not a whole lot of news in terms of Jagex content. It's the theme of 2021. There's really nothing to even tease. But, Heartless, this is what happened with you this week.
Yeah, so I managed to get my Inferno cape after about 3 weeks of solid effort.
All right, that's massive.
Yeah, I put a run together and it all came together in this last run.
Okay, so Inferno, I guess it's pretty safe to say it's the biggest achievement you can get in the game.
Yeah, I would say so, because it's not like an RNG drop. You have to actually earn it.
Yeah,
and spend 250 mil and buy it. But yeah,
true.
A lot of people end up doing that because it's so hard. Like it's the hardest thing I've ever done in video games for sure.
Yeah, Magpie when he was on the show, I remember him saying that the Inferno is the cape itself. It's good, but it's not that good for how much time it takes. But really, what the cape is it's symbolic of your new skill that you've obtained from being able to beat this piece of content.
Anyone who legitimately earns the fire cape has, gains a huge amount of game knowledge as well. You have to know a ton about the game in order to get it. So it's definitely a process that is worth doing if you're ready for it. Of course, you need a lot. I talked about last week sort of the 4 pillars. You need the gear, you need the knowledge of how the tick system works, you need to learn the mechanics and then learn the positioning. But there really is a 5th pillar that's probably more important than all of them together, and that's mental.
True.
So the way it works is basically I got to Zaka my 10th attempt, at which point I knew I had all... I still had some cleaning up to do, but I had all the mechanics down reasonably. And I was able to get there a little quicker than some learners just because my account's so old and I've sort of done flicking and stuff before. So at that point I knew, I'm like, okay, I'm good enough to complete this. I just need to clean it up, make sure I have enough supplies going forward. So that's what I worked on. But it was really just all mental at that point. Basically my capes as well are taking close to 2.5-3 hours to complete. So do I have time to sit down for 2.5 hours to potentially just die to one missed tick? And dying that way, so many times, man, I died. Once I had a great run, I had 8 brews. I didn't use a single sip of brew on the waves. It was such a clean run. I had 6 restores, just ridiculous supplies. And I died to single Jads getting meleeed.
Oh.
Yeah, I decided to run under, but obviously wasn't good at it yet. And I got freaking meleeed by Jad. And I was just sit back in my chair. I was like, how in God's name did this just happen? There goes 2 hours of my life. So coming back from those and just knowing that, if you keep going, you're going to get it is the hardest part, I think.
Yeah,
For
I
sure.
can totally see that because you know, when we mentioned that, it was like it's a lot of people see it as like the biggest achievement. You know, there's things like maxing your account or getting 200 mil experience and all your skills, which are but those are just like time grinds for the most part. Like you'll get it if you just stick to it. Whereas
Yeah,
with the Inferno,
maxing is impressive, but I would say Inferno Cape is more impressive.
yeah, because you need to learn.
Exactly. You need to learn a lot. Of course, the Zuck Slayer Helm has probably replaced the Infernal Cape
true.
or the
That's
Infernal
true.
Max Cape as like the coolest sort of flex item. But so few people have it. It's not really sort of in the mainstream yet. So the Infernal
Yeah.
Cape is still a lot of things that's, you know, kind of an end goal for most accounts. So yeah, you heard that clip of me. I was just like, it was an unreal feeling. Like
Yeah,
a lot of-
so it takes like what over 2 hours at least, right, for
Oh.
anyone who's trying it.
Yeah, mine ended up being 2 hours and 45 minutes. I would say most first capes, 2 hours is sort of the minimum that you're
Mhm.
going to do. Because if you're looking to go any quicker than that, you have to be like one tick flicking like all of the mid waves, which is crazy and takes a lot of skill. And if you can do that, you know, you can probably not going to struggle to get an Infernal Cape.
Mhm.
So most people like either lazy flick or they camp a little bit of prayer. Maybe they bring in an SGS. There's a bunch of different strategies to go, but conservation of like pots eventually comes with time. But yeah, you're looking at like 2 hours, I would say, for a normal cape. For the first
That's
time.
crazy.
And mine was 2 hours 45 minutes, but of course Zuck was really slow because I don't have a twisted bow, so it was very painful.
See, that's what always blows my mind about Zuck, because like a lot of us, even if we haven't done the Inferno, we've done the fight caves, and like there's similar feelings where the first time I would say 90% of us, the first time we did the fight caves, you get to Jad and it's like all mental because you get very nervous, and the fight itself is actually kind of easy, but you end up screwing up, making a mistake and getting one hit from Jad or something. But you have that feeling of adrenaline the first time you actually beat it. I don't know how long, you know, a typical Jad fight is the first time you do it, but you know, watching your clip and this is something that I learned, I guess down the road, that when you get to Zuck, it's like at least a 10-minute fight. For you, it was 15 minutes, right?
Yeah, it was 13 and a little bit.
13.
And you can't miss anything either because Zuck is basically going to one-shot you. That was my fourth. Okay, I didn't talk about my attempts. It was my 21st attempt I got the cape on, and 4 Zucks. So that's
Nice.
going from like number 1 would be me knowing literally nothing about the Inferno. I did watch a lot of videos sort of when I was about halfway through my process. Like after I'd made it to Zuck, I was like, okay, I can do this. I need to really clean up my waves because that's a lot of, you know, you want to make it to Zuck with good supplies, and that takes skill to do. I would say that's the hardest part of the Inferno. The actual sort of triple Jads is all nerves. It's just single Jad, but 3 times faster. And it becomes quite easy once you get it down and like can calm down. I found it quite easy on my last one. But the first few, my hands were just like actually wet, like dripping. I was so nervous, dude.
Gotta get a new mouse.
Yeah, no, definitely not that bad, but I was so scared. So I fucked up a few times to those guys. And then Zuck is just like a really clinical fight. Like, you know what you need to do. You can't make any mistakes or you're going to die. But it's the same every time. There's no sort of unpredictability like there is with the waves. So there's that sort of like, I had this calm feeling when I went into Zuck, knowing like, okay, I know what I need to do. Everything is going to be at a certain time. I just need to do it correctly and not make any mistakes. And that's what ended up happening. So yeah, 4 Zucks it took me. The first one, I just didn't have the supplies and it's kind of planked to Jad, I think. And then the second and third one, I made it past Jad, but I died to the healers, or like just after the healers, because they're quite tricky. And then the fourth one, I ended up just tagging them with my bow instead of my blowpipe, and then I'm comfortable at blowpipe walking, so I just didn't lose any ticks, and they went a lot better, which meant I had supplies, because the healers like shred your supplies, so you need to kill them quickly, or else you're gonna like not have anything left for the end if you get another set after Zuck, which you most likely will. Which set is like when a mage and ranger spawns behind him, and you can only pray from one of them. So you have to pray against the mage because it hits just ridiculously high, and you basically have to just machine gun down the ranger with your blowpipe. That's how the sets work. And my cape, I had 3 sets, so there were 3 times that I was tanking a ranger. And it's scary because he can hit 50s. And you probably noticed in my video that he hit me like a 40 something, and then he hit me like a 30 something. So I had 8 health left. There's just nothing you can do about it. You just have to like hope, basically. Unless you're gonna off tick them, like swap your prayers. I'm not gonna do that. There's just no way. I was way too nervous.
So, yeah, how does it feel completing it?
It feels like very freeing. Like I was in there for a long time. 3 weeks. I mean, I've been working too. Like I've been really busy with work. So like this last run when I got the cape, I came home from work. I had 2.5 hours before I had to pick my girlfriend. So I did the first 45 waves. Took me like maybe 70 minutes or something. I hadn't used any supplies. Then I came back and had some dinner with her, and then I finished the run, and it took until like 9:30. So if I would have died, there's my whole day gone to a death.
That's crazy.
But it ended up working out, so it feels good, man. It feels like a triumphant feeling because when you work, and a lot of people probably have this in real life too, where you work hard for something and then you're rewarded at the end. That's what this felt like. So it's like when you work hard to get a job and then you finally get it. That's how I sort of thought about it. Or you work hard to like achieve a sports goal and you finally win, like a really hard fought game. That's kind of what it felt like to me. Yeah, the exact same feeling. Different than the Ellie. The Ellie was like pure shock. Like I've won the lottery. I can't breathe. My hands are shaking. Yeah. The different feeling, but equally good for sure. And
that's crazy.
Huge shout out to Raichu and Poplo as well, who was there for most of my runs. But Raichu helped coach me through, and he's just so calm. He just kept my head level doing the fight because he was like doing the timers because the sets come up at a certain time. It's every 3.5 minutes. So he's just making sure, okay, do this, do that. Sets coming in X amount of time. And it just helped me, chill out. You probably heard him scream. He's a very quiet dude. He was probably more nervous than I was, to be honest. Especially since my bow decided it would just noodle on the last 3 health.
Yeah, it's gonna be stressful, but yeah, Raichu, he helps mod the Discord, and he's been listening to the show for a while now. But it was really cool to kind of, I love that like coaching. I guess you need someone to like walk you through. Obviously, in the clip when I was watching it, because I just watched him do it. He's drink a stam, you can shoot it, move up, and stuff like that. He's like kind of telling you like what's kind of going on with your stam and your HP and your prayer, and telling you when to do what. I guess it helps with your nerves.
I was just so focused on, making sure I'm in the right place and making sure I'm attacking, making sure my prayer is correct, that it's really just standing in the right place. Because if you fall out from that shield, he's just one-shots you.
Yeah, it's insane stuff.
But yeah, it's nice to be done, dude. So I can move on to other content now, and got a best in slot cape. So
that's my next question. Yeah, what's next now that you've got the the Inferno cape, one of the hardest things to get? What's next on the radar? Like, do you have this sense of like, all right, now what? Like, that South Park clip?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Where they do this like big achievement. They're like, now what? Well, now we can finally play the game.
We did it, you guys. We're totally heroes. That was such uber ponage. I can't believe it's all over. What do we do now? What do you mean? Now we can finally play the game. Oh, yeah.
I mean, yeah, like in a sense, I do feel that way. I don't feel lost. I think a lot of mains have this problem. When you finish the Inferno, you just put so much, you pour just so much into it. And you get the cape and you're like, okay, well, what do I do now?
Let's go test it out at rating.
Thankfully, on my account, there's still like lots of items to go for. So I'm really looking forward to grinding a whole bunch of different bosses. I've unlocked a few Slayer bosses that I want to finish. There's a couple pets I'd like to grind for. What else is there? Oh, Fisani's Nightmare is probably the biggest one. I haven't touched it yet. And I was waiting for the Infernal Cape. So full Inquisitors and a mace would be sick.
Nice.
I think Crush is going to be really useful in the future.
Right. So yeah, there's been some teases of Raids 3 needing Crush, especially with like, Cal Fight. The Cal Fights, they're kind of weak to Crush, so
exactly.
Yeah.
So that's one of my plans is to do that. I still don't have any like really good items from Chambers of Xeric. I have Ancestral Pants, but all the good ones I still don't have. So I'd like to send some of those, some challenge modes, and keep tobbing, of course. Try to get a scythe and a rapier. So now I'm a max boy with a regular whip. I have like all the max melee gear, regular. So there's still tons of things for me to do. I'm just kind of looking forward to maybe boss hopping for a little bit here before I set. I'm not doing Fasanis yet because I know I'm just gonna get I'm gonna go all in. Just the way I do things.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah,
so I'm gonna take a break. Maybe do a little bit of skilling. Get some construction levels.
Cool.
Things like that. Yeah, so that's been it, man. It's nice to be free. And if anyone ever needs some advice for like a first time cape, I'm no expert, but I definitely, understand the process now. So
yeah, you got it. So I'm sure the next one will be interesting to hear how easy the next one is. If you decide to do it.
I am gonna do another one to get on the high scores.
Yeah.
Especially while my skills are still fresh. It's gonna be so much easier with a mask. Also, if I die, like it doesn't feel bad because I can just leave and do something else. But, like I know I have to go back in. Yeah, like I said, it's just a huge mental grind, so it's nice to be over.
Good stuff. Well, big grats.
Thanks, man.
That's pretty sweet.
Oh, I decided to test it out at DK's, and I got the Dagnall Supreme pet too.
That's right. Cool. That's sick.
I think it was the day after. So, did a few DKs, got a pet. You'll have to see
sweet.
It.
That's a sweet pet. That's a very sweet pet.
Yeah, it's cool. So that's number 11 now for me.
Damn.
I've been rolling in the pets recently, Dilz. Because we had what was it? Because I had the double knight in the wilderness, and then the raids pet last week, the top pet.
Oh,
true. Now Supreme. So it's been pretty crazy month for pets for me.
God damn.
Yeah, dude.
Well,
what about you? What have you been up to this week?
Well, it's funny. Honestly, not much at all. Like I'm in this. I feel like every few months. Because I was thinking about it. I've been super busy with work because I have my full-time job, and then I have freelance work I'm doing on the side as well, and that started picking up a bunch. So I find and this is what I love about RuneScape, where I can just AFK on my account while I'm working all day, and it's just nice to be able to do that while I'm working because it doesn't feel like I'm fully working, like I'm still progressing my account, even though I'm just getting 40k mining experience a day or whatever it is. That's it. I've just been kind of skilling and then working. But then I found a few days ago, I just had 2 nights in a row where I had no work in the evening and I had no work to do for I'm converting my, I don't know if there's it sounds like there's an echo. I don't know if that bleeds into the mic, but I had to switch my office because my old office is turning into a nursery. So I'm moving into my partner's old office. Anyways, doesn't matter. But so there's a lot of work getting that all prepped up. But I found myself with 2 days where I had nothing to do, where I was just chilling. And I was like, this is great. I have 2 nights off. I'm going to kick back and play some games. And I go on RuneScape and I'm like, well, I don't know what to do. I'm like, I don't really feel like raiding. I don't feel like I want to do something different. I was like, I don't know what I have no idea what I want to do. So I was kind of just jump on my pure, and I went to go PK and then couldn't find anyone. So then I go to bots and kill a few of those, and that gets boring after 20 minutes. And I was like, now what? And then I was thinking maybe I'll make an ultimate Iron Man and just make some weird account. And then I went to go do that. And then I was like, I don't want to do the death, what do we call it? Death pile juggling, or where you have your loot all over the place.
Yeah, suicides. Yep.
Yeah, even though I'm that's way in the future, I'm already thinking about it. I'm like, that doesn't sound like fun at all to do. I was like, maybe I won't. Maybe I'll play my Iron Man, but I'm like, I don't know if I really want to do that right now. So I was like, you know what? I'm just not going to play RuneScape. I'll play something else. So then I hop on Steam. I see a bunch of games on sale. I see Witcher 3, Fallout 4, No Man's Sky, Divinity, what is it? Divinity Sin 2. So all those games are like, oh, those games are cool. I'm going to buy them because it's all kind of cheap, even though I own most of them on PS4. Maybe I'll play it on the computer. Maybe it'll be different. I don't know. So I buy all those games, I download them, install them, and obviously don't hop on to play them because I was like, well, I don't know if I want to play them. I don't know if I want to boot up friggin' Witcher 3, start a whole new game tonight. It's 7 p.m. And I was like, man, this is I don't know what to do on RuneScape, and I don't know what to do for other games. And these are my only 2 nights off that I've had for a while. Mm-hmm. And it was just such a weird feeling to be in this weird rut. So I ended up just not gaming, and I went and I don't know, watched TV and read a bit, or just
Hey,
did other things.
Fair enough, man. Like sometimes you log into RuneScape and you don't know what to do.
Yeah, and I was like, kind of thinking like why? And it's like, I know we're in this weird content drought of 2021. 2021's been a weird year. But like, there's just, and I was like, could it be possible, like the fact that there hasn't been really big piece of content that come out, to like the fact that that's not really happening, like I don't feel compelled to do anything. Like like Theater of Blood, I've got like 20 KC, so I can do it. I still would struggle, and if I go to We Do Raids, I'd find a group that, you know, we're not farming it hardcore, like doing it really easily. So that makes it a bit more fun, but it just feels weird knowing that that's like the only, like, I don't know, everything I've done, I feel like I've done a bunch of times. And I guess the fact that there isn't really anything directly in front of me to do, there's no new raid, there's no new bosses really. There's the Inferno, but it's, you know, that's kind of not on my radar.
Yeah, no, I understand. It can burn a lot of people out for sure.
Yeah, and I was like talking with some people, and it just seems like, you know, when your account gets, there's so much to do, but when you get a year where you just don't get a whole lot of updates for end game stuff, you've kind of done everything a bunch. And like, you know, I find after like 50 to 100 kills of something, like, it's not bad to do, but it's not super fun. I don't quite necessarily look forward to doing it. Which is why I think it's like so important just to have like different pieces of content coming out. I mean, obviously, right? That sounds very obvious to say.
No, I totally agree. It's been a dry year, and we got some bad news last week with things being pushed back to next year.
And I think that's why leagues is so important, because like for me, I'm kind of bored on the account. What could I do? I did a bit of Temperos, but again, that's like, okay, it's not super fun after you get like 20 to 30 kill count. And so leagues always was like a breath of fresh air. It's completely different, and it gives you like a month and a half or 2 months of like playing this new wacky game mode where everything is like kind of private servery, but it's all well polished enough that you don't feel like you're on a private server. And then usually that's long enough that by the time league's finished, I'm like, I just want to go back and play on my main and do all these other things that I got going on. But even though I'm saying this, leagues wouldn't have even started, it would have started in a couple days from now.
Still though, you'd be excited, and then that'll push you through to Christmas, and then we have bingo, which is always a well-loved event. And then you know, obviously real life is busy at Christmas time for some people. And then you've got and then you have next coming out, so it would have been a nice holdover. Yeah, last week I was mad. I was pretty mad, and I think I stand by my emotions. I'm pretty disappointed.
No, I think that's fair, because I was like, I was like thinking this to myself, like, I'm really excited for Raids 3, but I'm like, even 3 raids in this game isn't that much.
It's also next summer, Dilz.
Yeah, it's far away, and then who knows when the next raid is. Like when I think of like an MMO that has endgame content, I always like envision it to be like 5 different raids. That's a handful that you can bounce between. You want to try some chambers, because right now we have 2. Choose one or the other. We're gonna have a third one. It's gonna be new, and then we just have the 3 to bounce between.
And the chambers is very fun in a group, and it's very like easy to get into. Top is extremely punishing. I actually, as now I have 350 KC. So I think I'm enough to have a pretty good opinion about it. Still, sometimes if we're not, you know, paying full attention, we can still wipe with a team of people that have. Yesterday we had combined through 2,000 KC on my team, and with 3 people, and we wiped. You know, and it's just like a bad feeling. I don't like the wipe mechanic. I think it's too punishing. It's too punishing for learners. I don't mind the difficulty of the content, but I'd rather you be able to finish the raid with like a significantly lesser chance of a purple than actually wipe every time. Because it's not very fun. Learning TOB without friends is one of the worst experiences ever. I was really lucky that several people in the CC were able to take my Iron Man at the time and kind of carry me through because they all had the knowledge. I kind of lie, because one of my greatest nights ever was learning TOB with my friends, and we didn't even get a KC just because the content was that hard. But it is extremely punishing. So I'm not really sure. I think the wipe mechanic is a little bit. I like the difficulty of Todd. Don't get me wrong, but I think the wipe mechanic is a little bit too much.
It's like I've been playing a lot of. Well, I shouldn't say this. I haven't been playing a lot of Fallout 4, but I used to like last summer. I think I played a ton of Fallout. Have you ever played that game?
Yeah, I love Fallout. It's one of my favorite games.
So they have a mode on it called survival mode, and it makes everything really hard. Like it's supposed to be more realistic. So when someone can one shot you easily, but you can one shot people, and you can't just save it whenever you want. Because normally you can just pause it, save it wherever you are. You have to actually save it by finding a bed to sleep in.
Yeah.
So it makes it like really tough, but it's really fun, and I really enjoy it. But there have been so many instances where like I'm in a dungeon. It's like it's a factory, but we'll call it a dungeon because everyone knows what a dungeon is. I'll be in like a factory clearing out the enemies inside. There's nowhere to sleep though, so I'm just getting really far, and then something happens, something stupid happens, and I die, and I'm like, I wipe to the very beginning. I'm like, that's an hour of progress. Oh my god, I got to start all over again and do it all over again, and so it's frustrating. But the fact that knowing how punishing it is, it makes it very exciting until I die, and then I hate it.
like Inferno is the same thing. And I would not make the Inferno easier. It's doable. So would I say the same about Tob? I guess so. But it's also like a team raid too. So I can see both sides of the coin. That being said, the fact that there are only 2 raids available and one of them is that difficult is not the greatest. I prefer sort of like scaling difficulty. Which is their idea with the tombs, right?
Yeah, and I think it just makes it tough to like, eventually we'll have a 3rd raid. But even like the choice of having 3 raids, there's a lot to do in this game, while simultaneously at the same time it feels like there isn't a whole lot to do in this game when you get to like the higher levels.
I think it's why Iron Man appeals to so many people for this reason, because one of the great things about it is it sets the goals for you, and you don't really have to worry about. I mean, sure, there's like you can do optimizations, you can do Slayer rushes or whatever, but in the end, you have to get all the items once, so you have to do all the content in the game, whether or not it's fun. And that appeals to a lot of people because it sort of sets out the goals for you. It's like right now, like you said, with my Infernal Cape, I just got it. What would I do? Well, if I was a main, I would just go and make more money. Yeah. And probably get a little bit bored. But because I'm an Iron Man, I'm going to be like, I opened up Hellhounds so I can go get the Eternal Crystal, which no main would ever do, like in the right mind, But I'm genuinely looking forward to sort of going back to that boss. There's a bunch of other different ones that I'm sort of excited about doing. I'm excited about doing like some Vorkath and some Hydra, even though I have the pet, just so I can get some, prayer XP for the future. So my goals were kind of like set up for me. It's just about me deciding which ones I'm going to go for and in which order. And that's one of the greatest parts of this game mode, and a reason why I think so many people are attracted to it. And I think they'll continue to be in the future, especially once you sort of played the game for long enough on a main. You sort of realize maybe what it can come down to, and a lot of people still have a lot of fun. They pet hunt or whatever, and they make their own goals, and that's really good. But I do find a lot of people like myself, I burnt out of it, and this makes the game more enjoyable, especially when, like we said, there's such a huge content drought.
Yeah, and it's been like I was talking to someone and they were like, "Oh, I just started playing, OSRS about 3 months ago." And I was like, "Man, this is a great time to start playing the game. Like there's a lot of cool stuff been added. There's cool stuff coming down the line. But I think the trouble comes when you're like a maxed or end game player, which, most people aren't. So when you're like an end game player, and you've been an end game player since, for a year or 2 years maybe, it starts being like, okay, I have there's a handful of things that I can kind of do that's fun and engaging. And even, next summer when we get a new raid, okay, we have 3 plus next. Okay, so we have like a handful we got 2 more things added. That is only going to tie people over for like 6 months. I'm gonna say it's still gonna be fun, but
next is gonna be great. But yeah, we might get bored of it pretty quickly.
There's only so many times you can do a boss before you're like, okay, you can bounce between next. You can to do some nightmare, I'm trying to think what other boss would be on par with next. We got the Nightmare.
Oh, Corrupted Gauntlet. Are you talking about like team
Gauntlet
raids? Or just difficulty?
Yeah, just different for like non-raid.
I don't think next is going to be that hard. I'm not just guessing. I think it's going to be a little bit more accessible than Corrupted Gauntlet or mechanics wise.
Yeah, so that might not even tie some people over that long, and then we have the new raid.
Well, I mean, still getting new drops is really fun, and like doing
for sure,
doing content with your friends is really like some of my greatest nights is like doing bandos, with my friends when we were noobs, and getting a Tacit's drop because it meant a lot at the time. I think we're sort of like, as both you and I are like end game players, we can be a little bit disconnected from the greater community.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, as a new player, or lower, this is a great time.
It is. There's so much content in this game. You could be, excited for like years. You could play, and not get bored. So I just feel like we're talking like from an end game perspective. Basically, there's a couple options. You can either like go for max and go for pets, or you make an Iron Man. And people tend to pick one of those two things, or you quit. Those are just basically the three outcomes. I'm not joking either, right?
Yeah.
Like you either quit playing another game, you make an Iron and like redo the grind. And some people are like turned off by that because, it's going to take so much time. But I mean, it's fun though. Never forget that. But it can be hard to be like an end game player and then go back to like shitty gear and know that it's going to take like a year to get back to where you were. But I mean, it's all part of the journey.
Yeah.
One day, if you ever quit this game and look back, you'll enjoy. If you're like me, you'll have enjoyed the entire process and your entire time playing. I like the end game just as much as other parts of the game.
Yeah, totally. Sure. Or either that, or you'll have like a major crisis. You'll be like, "What have I done?"
The early game can be tough, daunting, and like annoying to do all the quests again, but to be honest, in like the grand scheme of things, it's pretty quick, so I wouldn't worry about it. What have I done with my time? I don't know, man. I've played this game way too much, but I've also made some really, really great friends.
Oh yeah, totally. I have like 6,000 hours in it, and that's fine. That's a lot. That's fine though.
If I do, and when I do quit, I will look back fondly upon my time played, and I won't have any regrets.
Definitely. The beauty of the game,
because I'm happy. So. Anyways, some positive messages coming from us today, Dilz, in these dark times.
Yeah, I think really to sum it all, I'm just in a weird rut with my account. So again, I haven't been playing a whole lot this week, and I'll do my mining and whatnot because it's pretty chill. It's very relaxing. I'm just interested to see how I'm so excited for new content. I can't wait to talk about new content.
I'm telling you, man, we've been talking about getting new content since basically last January.
I know, and I'm like saying like it's about people who might like go back and listen. They're like, holy fuck, they never they just never shut up about there not being any content.
It's also like let's put it into the context of like what's happening in our lives. They've been kind of shitty recently, like for everyone in general. I mean, sure, it's been getting better, but still, things aren't the best, and they haven't been the greatest this year for many people. Mm-hmm. So it would have been nice to have, something.
Yeah, and then I think because we're gonna get into it real soon, but we get an update, like this week's update, where we look at it, we're just like, okay, this is like all right, what's going on here.
It's whatever. We'll get into it and talk about it for sure.
Should we do that right now? Should we segue right into it?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. So we got one dev blog this week, and it is called Revenant Caves and Dead Man Changes.
Yay.
Oh, yeah, everyone's cheering.
Finally. Hard-hitting content we've been looking forward to.
The hard-hitting. This is so bad. I had to go back.
The Dead Man one specifically is absolutely heinous.
I had to go back and look at previous dev blogs to be like, I swear they said they're going to do so much more. And anyways, we'll get into it. So let's talk about what this update is. They did some Revenant changes. So they've proposed. I went back and I tried to find the dev blog where they originally mentioned it. I couldn't find it. I found a few dev blogs mentioning some Revenant changes, but They talked about revamping all the wilderness bosses, and it feels like a really, really, really long time ago they mentioned this.
Yeah, in the spring, right?
My sense of time is like, I was talking to someone and they said like, since COVID, every day feels like a different shade of beige. I was like, I don't know what that means, but it also perfectly describes 2020.
I find
2022,
winter days feel like that to me, like these later fall winter days.
Oh, they just kind of slog on.
I don't mind fall, like early fall, but when things start to get cold, I am not a fan of the weather, and life just feels to be a bit blobby to me.
Oh, fair enough.
Until Christmas time, and especially with school, it's just like, you know, it's dark when you get there. It's like
true
dark when you leave.
Yeah, and yeah, slush all over the place because the kids are not kicking their boots off when they come back in from recess.
Oh, geez, don't even get me started with the kids not wiping their feet on the fucking carpet.
And you're slipping all over the place on the tile, and the kids are complaining about their wet socks. You're like, you're supposed to tuck your snow pants over the boot.
This is a great story. Yeah, so I live in Victoria, which is on Vancouver Island. It doesn't get nearly as much rain as Vancouver, but it still downpours here sometimes. Or quite often. And man, we had a storm the other day and the rain was coming down real hard. And we sent the kids out, and we always send the kids out. It's like, we live in Victoria, get a fucking rain jacket on and go outside. Like, that's basically what we say. And they don't care, right? Like, kids don't seem to be as like, and I remember being young and I wasn't like as affected by the cold as I was when I was older for some reason, like I am now. Like maybe is aware of it or something. I'm just having so much fun, it doesn't matter. So the kids don't seem to complain about going out in the rain. This one girl comes in, she was wearing like a one, not a one piece, but you know, like the sort of matching top and bottom with like colorful patterns that like young kids wear. So she's wearing this like cotton like one piece pink suit basically, and she had her umbrella, and then she had huge rain boots on. And she comes in, she says to me, I got soaked. I said, okay, well, what'd you do? And she was like, dripping to the bone. Like all of her cotton clothes were just like soaked through, and her hair was like completely wet. She's like, I ran underneath the waterfall. I was like, what are you talking about? At our school, we have like a huge slanted roof, so the water just comes beaming down off one of the sides, and it kind of pools up in one area. So there's a huge waterfall. She's like, I went under and thought my umbrella would protect me, but it like bent down with the weight of the water, and she just got drenched. I was like, well, too bad. You got to go and find some clothes in your bag, or else you're just going to have to dry off. And then 10 minutes later, she was just fine. She was soaked for the rest of the afternoon, but didn't care.
Oh boy, yeah, the kids are probably fucking drinking that water coming off the roof.
She looked so upset, but then like 10 minutes later, she's just fine. So it's good times, man.
Oh boy,
the joys of youth.
Yeah, where nothing mattered. Because it's recess. Recess is like the best time. Yeah,
kids love recess, dude.
You're like, I'm not gonna be a downer during recess. I'll be a downer afterwards in class and piss the teacher off. But during recess, anything goes.
Exactly. Yeah, yesterday I was like, I get recess duty twice a week, which sucks.
Oh, does it?
Sit out there. Yeah, I don't like it. I sit out there with like screaming kids. I liked it at my old school because I knew all of the kids and I would just go out and like play soccer with them or something. But this one, I'm like, I have an assigned place, and they had a wood chipper in to like get rid of some of the stuff on the cedar trees, and it was like cordoned off, and there were like all these kids just looking at the wood chipper.
Let's climb in it. Let's climb in it.
Let's climb in it. Well, let's stick Johnny in the wood chipper. It's like, that would be one of the most horrific things you'd ever see in your life. It was off, obviously, but it was like roped off, and they were like throwing tennis balls under there. The guys were like, "Can you go get them?" I'm like, "No, I don't think so."
Just climb in.
You go play something else, bud.
Yeah, that's funny.
I wasn't having any of it. But that's recess duty, man. It's not fun.
Recess duty. Oh.
Yeah, I don't know. What was the point of this story? I just started going on tangents about my school.
So yeah, they mentioned they wanted to change the wilderness boss. It was a really long time ago, and I don't even remember when. I went back to find the dev blog, and I couldn't even find it in 2020. So is it farther back than that, or maybe I just missed it? The thing as well.
Like within the last 6 months makes sense, I think.
You think it would be okay?
Well, I recall that we were going to be doing them. Like the update was supposed to be coming around now, like October, November. when they're going to rework all the wildy bosses. Maybe it was like early summer or late spring, but that's my guess. They made it seem like a fairly easy, like a big change, but a fairly easy one, you know?
Yeah. Well, anyway, I found the most recent message, the most recent reference to the Wilderness Bosses rework was in July 1st. And they said, this is coming later this year, the fabled Wilderness Bosses, which leads me to believe that if they're calling it the fabled Wilderness Bosses, then that must have been pitched way longer than July 1st. And I remember it being a really long time that they wanted to change it.
Oh, you're talking about being pitched. Yeah, I remember this dev blog being in the summer or spring, but yeah, pitched, I have no idea, man. Like years ago, probably.
It's been a while, and then so we've seen some concepts since then. So, anyways, my whole point is that they mentioned right away that these boss changes will not be happening until 2022. Which, okay, fine. I mean, we've heard so little about it, I kind of expected it, but they're just like throwing salt on the wound when they're like, yeah, this isn't happening this year either. Which really sucks. But what they did do is they really just made some changes to the drops in the Revenant Caves. So there's more teleport scrolls dropping. They've added some blighted items to the drop table, and they've just increased some of the drops and the gold per hour that can be found with it.
Yeah. Anything else they do?
And they made a quick little change where, the Amulet of Avarice, this is an amulet that comes from the Revs itself. It skulls you when you wear it, which, at some point increased the drop rate of, I think it was the unique items, the weapons and the relics, which are just basically gold drops. That increases when you're skulled. So certain clans would lock it down and just keep their people skulled on it. But they made it so this amulet also allows you to collect certain loot drops from the Revs are now noted, where otherwise they won't be if you don't have the Amulet of Avarice on. So that's that.
I mean, it's something, right? Like I'm trying not to be negative Nancy here. I do like that they're changing the Rev Caves a little bit. I think I love the idea of, and even the old Rev Caves, I think they really were the perfect concept. Really good money for mains, attracts PKers there at the same time. So it's like high risk, high reward money. There's always a bigger fish, Qui-Gon Jinn type situation where, shitty PKers will go after, or people trying to have fun will go after the PVMers, real PKers will go after them, and then clans will go after them. So there's sort of like a hierarchy of PKing, and sort of everyone is just attracted to this area. Of course, we ruined it with clans like protecting it and, gold farmers, etc. But I think the concept was good, and that's like a great way for the wilderness to work.
It did exactly what it was intended to.
And I loved the Rev Caves, man. Like as a PVMer and as a bad PKer, I loved the Rev Caves.
It was fun because you could show up with a group of your friends and we did it all the time. We would all be terrible, but we all bought like ballistas and we'd run in, clear out a world. We'd get some kills. We could make a little bit of money, but it was fun. And then what would happen is every now and then you'd bump into another team that was doing the same thing as you. And then it becomes a fight over who's going to, the two teams fought each other. And I mean,
or like a
lost.
real PKing team comes in and then wipe the floor with you. But either way, I had a blast there back when I was a main when I was doing Rev Caves. And I used to make a lot of money there in my early days too. When I really only had a blowpipe and an anguish, I would go there and I would just, make some money, and it was fun. I got the blood pumping. Yeah, the concept worked well, but the community destroyed it. So I think they're trying to make this again. And I do feel for PKers because the wilderness is not very fun. And especially having spent a lot of time in the PKing, one of the medium-sized clans PKing Discord.
Yeah, true.
Like, they're still, for the most part, nice people. But what they like about the game, some of them are toxic, sure. I mean, they get their reputation from somewhere. But they're still like trying to enjoy the game, just like we are with PVM, and it sucks for them not to get updates either. So I think this is a nice little push for them, and cool that I mean, there's some more revs, so if you're interested in doing them, I think they're still a little bit on the weak side, but
Yeah, they've increased some more of the revs. Some of the healing mechanics got buffed a little bit, but they overall and they made all the revs respawn 33% faster. So anyways, the whole point is that you can get more money from it per hour. And going back to what you said, how the original revs, it had a lot of problems itself. I mean, on release, it had no unique weapons. It had no unique items in general. And where they would do huge cash drops of like 50 mil, but they'd be like 200 dragon plate legs.
It'd just be like raw GP coming into the game. It was just like a cash cow, the whole thing, you're just making money left and right.
Yeah, but it would come through like weird items, like you just got like 100 rune warhammers. You're like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah. I mean, like I just love the idea of the caves, but it did get ruined. So at least this is a little bit of a pushback to maybe where it should have been in the first place. It's singles plus, so you're not going to be able to go multi on people, which makes it less fun for the casual PKers. But I think the actual PKing community tends to like the Rev Caves. You're going to get fights there if you go.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
Me personally, I am interested in doing Revs one day. I plan to wait until I'm 2200 total.
True.
Which is probably going to be a while. Maybe the end of the year if I'm lucky. And yeah, it's going to be fun. I'd really like to get one of the wilderness weapons. I like wilderness content. I talk about it quite a bit.
Yeah, the weapons are cool.
Sympathetic towards it. And I mean, realistically, what I'd like the most is to get that stupid obelisk in my house. But I think I need 4 or 6 of those crystals, and they're just super rare.
Like 4, yeah.
That's crazy, man. It's like 1600 KC to get like the crystals.
Yeah, it's like another weird thing. It's like every unique drop is like crazy rare. Looking at the Amulet of Avarice, your best chance at getting it is 1 in 20,000 or 1 in 11,000 if you're Scald from the Revenant Dragon. Just insane drop rates, and the weapons are like that too, which cause them to be very expensive, especially when there's not a lot of people doing it. So it's the Rev Caves are this weird piece of content because originally when they came out, the way they made it, the drop table so good is by having like, you'd randomly get 200 dragon plate legs, which would convert into like, I don't know, do the math, like 100, I don't know, 50 mil, whatever it is.
When it very first came out, before they had the totems. So that's the big thing about the revs, is they have these totems that they drop that are, you just exchange them for pure cash. So they basically just drop money.
Yeah, exactly. And they did that because it felt like a meme drop to get like
200 dragon plate legs.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's probably best for the game. It looks a little bit stupid. And now there's like maybe a little bit of lore involved. So it's better for sure.
It is. Now the relics, obviously this isn't true anymore, but originally they placed the relics, and the relics were meant to be placeholders for new unique items that would come out. And they eventually did bring the weapons and the Amulet of Avarice and the obelisk, but those weren't enough to remove those relics. But they're still on there, and this is just probably the way it's going to be now. That's fine.
I think just having more non-best in slot things in the wilderness, like niche best in slots, are okay. You don't want, like, the dragon pickaxe is a little bit problematic, because it's a best in slot item for skilling, which is a little bit stupid. That comes from the wilderness. It doesn't really make sense. So you have to be careful because you don't want to force people to go to the wildy, but there should be high risk, high reward is sort of the name of the game. And it shouldn't be like deeply frustrating. It should be doable. You shouldn't be able to just farm bosses with no problems, but you should get rewarded or punished for sort of the things you're getting. And the wildy bosses right now are pretty fun. I like them, but really just for the pets, right? You make good money at them. Like, you make a little bit of money,
and they're chill. I'm looking, even though I've completed like Venenatus, which was one of my goals. And that was super chill to do. I should park myself back there. Really good money, very AFK-able.
You should do Callisto. It's very similar. It's probably less hot, actually, less people.
Probably less. But the thing that I liked about Venenatus, it was like super AFK. You just have to like click a few times every.
It's the same thing with Callisto. You just sit there for like 90 seconds and you don't have to do anything.
Yeah, you just gotta pull them. Callisto's good though. It's not similar. As the cycle of setting up Venenatus was much quicker, and then you could just chill.
For sure. It's the quickest boss by far. I mean, but compared to Vedion, Callisto is just so easy.
Oh yeah, then Vedion's like the odd one out. And Scorpio is actually like oddly fun for whatever reason, but
it's not bad for sure.
So anyways, yeah. So that was the update this week. There were some changes to permanent dead man mode, and
yeah, like this is the kind of update I just wish we had more frequently. Like, is this really what we had to wait? That's my like sad part about it. It's like, this is what you're updating. Like, sure, I'm happy. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy that PKers are getting a little bone, and people who want to do revs are, you know, able to do them maybe a bit more easily now. But that's it.
And not to sad. Be like, this is kind of the Debbie Downer episode, but I know like a lot of people weren't very happy because there's a lot of wilderness changes that are planned to be coming out, and more that were supposed to come out with the Revenant Caves, and people are like, why wasn't more changes included? You know, they forgot, and this is crazy. They were supposed to update the Amulet of Avarice so that it was 20% more accurate and did 20% more damage against revenants. The team they said it was an oversight to not include it. And it'll be like hot fixed at some point next week. So I don't know how you forget. There's a Revenant boss that's planning to come out. It didn't come out this week. There's loot keys and other things that were supposed to come out for the wilderness in general. Anyways, all this stuff is taking a lot of time. Who knows what the real reason is? But
I would really, I mean, it'd be really interesting to be a fly on the wall in the Jagex. Like I'm gonna sympathize with them at the end of the day. Like, obviously, there's stuff going on behind the scenes, but we can't help being disappointed as players.
Yeah, there's a lot of onboarding, and I can totally get how, you know, especially if this is their first, I don't know, game developing job, there's going to be a lot to learn. You don't want to screw things up. And I think part of the problem as well is because the team has grown so much. You know, we used to have Mod Ash and Mod Kieran and a lot of these, you know, OSRS vets, like they've been with the team for so long. They were like straight up working with it. But I think the thing is, now that the Jagex has grown so much, these, you know, very people who understand the game so well and work directly with the game code, they're now working as leaders of their team. So they're more like in manager positions, which means maybe they're not working. Again, I'm just speculating. If you go on the wiki, you can kind of see how all the teams are broken out. But Mod Ash, who used to be, you know, I think he did 90% of the code for that interface update we got, with like how it changed everything for mobile. I think he worked primarily on it, and now I think he oversees maybe a team of 5 other people, and maybe works less with code directly and more manages his team, which causes there to be and I was reading that this is like kind of common when it comes to like in the tech industry, that you get a new junior dev, it could take a year before they're able to start pumping out content on their own because they need to learn the code, especially Runescape working with Runescript. This is me just regurgitating things I've read. I don't know much about coding at all, but Runescape uses their own unique form of code, which means people have to learn that, how it works, so that we're not getting T-bows spawning in game. So yeah, it could take like a year for people to kind of fully understand it before they're able to pump out their own content. Which again, this is why they said 2021 was very slow, was because they have a lot of new people, but it takes time to train them so that they can actually work on raids 4, raids 5,
and like I do believe them, and I sympathize, but it's also, you have to understand, like it's also okay to be disappointed as players, because there really hasn't been much.
Yeah, I get it when it's like okay,
both,
you know,
both things can be true.
Yeah, we sympathize with Jagex.
Just don't go on Reddit because they're just pure hatred, you know?
Oh yeah, they'll pick things apart like crazy.
People who barely play sometimes, I'm sure. But anyways, yeah, sorry, keep going.
No, I was saying like, so yeah, from a company perspective, I can totally understand, you know, the growth and how that takes time to kind of settle in. So I can sympathize with that. But when I look at, you know, us paying for a monthly game for it to receive not a whole lot of updates, where games like WoW, they completely rework their game every year and a half, every 2 years. And throughout that 1 to 2 year period, they're constantly pumping out a ton of raids and a ton of endgame content. It's very quickly changing. I'm not saying that we should have that, but it's I think when we look at it as like customers, we're like, how is there, you know, it's you know, if you watch a TV show, there's shows that like you would really, people get upset. I'll use Game of Thrones as like a example. George R.R. Martin, who, you know, he wrote the Game of Thrones books. He's been working for like 7 years or maybe even longer at this point for the next installment of the book, and people are like frustrated because they're like, we've read all your books and this guy's like almost 80 years old, like you're not going to finish the series.
Cue the conspiracy music. He's never going to finish them.
No, I don't think he is either, but so and I don't. And the thing with him is, so I've read the books. I've been waiting for a while. So this is a little like, I've given up. But I think why people get so upset is because they've read the book, they're invested, and they want to hear how it ends. So they get kind of upset at George R.R. Martin for not writing it. He kind of says he's continuously working on it. And he still writes other books. He has another series he writes.
He doesn't have to. Maybe he just loves the people who get mad. And that's
his thing. And the thing is, like, he's 80. Maybe he doesn't want to write another book about Game of Thrones. Maybe
I read all the books, but I never watched the show. Did it go past the books?
Yeah.
Okay.
It definitely went past it.
And that must not make it. I'm not a writer by any means, but I imagine that would make it pretty awkward as well if like a show goes past where the direction you'd want to go in.
Yeah,
especially if you've seen it or like I've heard what they do, it might influence you as well, right?
Yeah, and he was as like, I think he was a producer or he was working with them somehow, and
he must have, because it was a huge show, right? I think so. It's like the first season.
So basically, to like relate this to like RuneScape, it's like on one hand, as the reader and a fan of the books, it is frustrating to like hear someone say, "Yeah, we're constantly working on the next book." It's been like 7 years plus, and by the way, he has 3 books that he has to plan. He has planned for the series, and it's taken him like 7.
There's no maybe it's like a transparency thing.
The last book came out. Okay, so 10 years ago it came out. Holy shit!
Yeah, because I remember reading it in my first year of college.
Right,
which was 8 years ago now. So, or like 9 years ago.
So it's like, on one hand, I get why the readers are frustrated because we want to know how it's supposed to end. He keeps saying he's still writing it. On the other hand, I understand by him that if you're 80 years old, you're freaking loaded because of the book series and
he's absolutely set.
Maybe he doesn't want to, and again, it's his right to like just stop and drop it. But anyways, that's the whole point. I get where Jagex might be having a hard time pumping out content and onboarding all these new people, and then it's just hard to, as the consumer of the content, to just be like,
and it's okay to be frustrated, right? So we just have to find our own way to make fun, have fun with the game, which we're particularly good at doing as a community. Yeah, don't you worry, bingo is in the works slowly. I'm thinking about it already. We've got some new tiles coming up. It's gonna be a good one.
Yeah, bingo's what ties everyone over.
I mean, people love bingo, man. It's a great time.
Yeah, and it's things like that help break it up when there's maybe not much being introduced. At least we have that to do on the side.
Yeah, I've never seen someone scream so loudly when they get a Sears ring, man. I still never forget the time some guy and Szechuan and I did like, I didn't really help them. I was just running them supplies, but they must have done like 8-hour days at what's his name, King Black Dragon, just to get the heads. Some guy got 2 dragon pickaxes on the road. It was
nice,
absolutely grindy. Like, it's just those things that make events like that a good time.
Yeah, totally.
We are deep distracted.
Yeah, guys, some stuff happened with Dead Man mode, permanent mode, and for I bet you 99% of the people listening, 99% of the people are going to be like, "Oh, that's a thing." There's like 60 people logged in on it. That's what I should do. I should log in to Dead Man mode. When I've done that, and I've done it a few times permanent, people are they're either really nice and they're like, "Dude, you're low level. Let me hook you up. I'll protect you." I've had people been like, "Dilz, add me, message me if anyone tries to attack you, and we'll come protect you because we want new people to be playing this." You have on the other hand that somebody's like, "Holy shit, I can kill this person. I'm going to
finally
kill them.
I see another soul."
Yeah.
It's funny, isn't it?
Anyways, guys, again, sorry for the negativity. I think, and part of it is I feel for the PKing community as well. They haven't got any changes. I went back. So I did some digging. I didn't even mention any of the digging. I wanted to go back to see like when wilderness changes were happening. And back in like January 2020, they mentioned how they're going to be revamping the future of Bounty Hunter and the PvP systems. And they ended up just full on removing it. And it made me feel for the PKing community a bit, where it's like, man, not only are they not getting content, they're getting content removed. So
I mean, a lot of their this is probably funny too. Like maybe their reputation isn't always well deserved because a lot of their really vocal people can be quite childish.
yeah, it's
You know, like people like Ode Block and stuff. They can
True.
be quite childish with their like antics. But so can the PVMing community, so we can just shut up as well.
yeah, it's
Like,
RuneScape
you,
in general.
you go on Reddit and have a little look around, and it's just the same sort of thing kind of rises to the top. So
Mhm.
it's a little disappointing. Yeah, we've been negative. We've been surprisingly positive, Dilz. I wouldn't worry about being a little bit negative. It's okay,
You were the voice of positivity in this one.
dude. You gotta get your feelings out.
Yeah, you know what? I've just been in a rut, and it's like I so badly want. It's like it's really strange. I know other people have this too, where it's like I play RuneScape so much, and when I have a day off, I'm like I'm gonna play RuneScape, and then I don't feel like playing RuneScape. I feel completely lost. I'm like I don't know. So I used to I've had this ongoing problem, like I guess like my whole life, where like I would with like just smoking weed, where I always have a problem with it, where I smoke weed and then I just smoke it all the time, and then it just like really envelops my whole life, which like that's what I do every single night, and it like it's just I just become very unproductive, and then I'm constantly okay, I have to quit, and then I stop. Every time I'd stop, I'd be like, man, my nights feel so empty, like, you know. Anyways, I got that feeling with RuneScape this week, and I was like,
I know a lot of RuneScapers smoke weed. I've never really done it. I did it a few times in high school, but it wasn't really for me. So, but yeah, I know a ton of people smoke for sure.
yeah, and some people it's like, anyways, I'm in a bit of a RuneScape rut, and I feel like this has happened every like couple of months or so. But
It happens to everyone at some point, you know.
yeah, it does.
Don't worry about it. You'll get through it. Just play some other games, do some other stuff. We still got the podcast. We can chat.
Hell yeah, we'll still meet up every single week to talk about it.
This is just like an hour of us just catching up on how our weeks were, mostly because I don't get to see you too much in the week.
I'm excited for when. I don't know if this is even going to be true. I was going to say I'm so excited for when the baby's here because I'm going to have so much more free time.
But a lot of my highly doubt it. What's going to be going on? Am I have to do some solo episodes maybe in the first month? Get some baby audio for the beginning of the clip.
Yeah,
some
subbing
crying
for me. Yeah, you hear me running off, and
yeah. So Dilz Jr., what do you think about the Rev Cave updates?
we want to hear some whining. Oh boy, here we go.
Anyways, man, I wish you got a little bit of time. I wouldn't worry yet.
Yes and no. I had some. Yeah, anyways, it's getting close. January 11th is the date.
You got a month of freedom left, and then I won't. Then the podcast dry streak will start again.
I'll go full George R. Martin. I'll just dip
10 years later, it's still coming. I'm still working on the next episode.
The next episode's gonna be awesome. I promise. It's just. Anywho, guys, there was a very slow week in terms of updates. You heard it. But a little fun note, it looks like RuneScape 3 also got their Inferno. So, Heartless, you'll have to jump over there and get your Inferno on there.
No, don't make me do it again. just kidding. I'd do it again now, but RS3, no thank you.
They came out with Zuck, and actually, I gotta play the music for it because the music's dope. So yeah, there it is there. Killer tune for the Inferno. That's what I should do when I'm bored. Play RuneScape 3. I have an Iron Man going on over there a little bit. Anyways, some cool stuff there. I also heard there's a fun bug where if you AFK'd after killing Zuck, you constantly kept getting kill counts. I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, it was something to. Don't you get loot from that boss too in that game?
I don't know exactly, but I know you technically, I think you have to beat it 3 times because you get like a shard or something that you can then use to make the best in slot range, mage, and melee cape. This is just going off reading.
It's kind of dumb, isn't it? If you can beat it once, you can beat it again.
Yeah, just having to do it 3 times.
Tedious, right?
That's true. Yeah. Anyway, guys, we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back. We got an email we're going to dive into, and then, yeah, you know how it goes. All right, we're taking a quick break, heading on over to the Grand Exchange, where I tell you some ways you can support the show. But before we get into all that, I like to start off with something Grand Exchange related, but not quite supporting the show related, I guess. I don't know. It's funny that I had a topic this week to talk about, but before the episode, I kind of decided not to. There's been, on the subreddit and on Twitter, there's been a whole whack of posts of people talking about this sort of glitch, this exploit, a scam. I don't know what you want to call it, but basically in the trade window, somebody puts up platinum tokens or gold or twisted bows, whatever it is. And then in the secondary confirmation, where it says, are you sure you want to trade? And it lists everything again, just to make sure nothing has been removed. It would still say all the items are there. And then when they would accept it, somebody would either not get the twisted bow or they wouldn't get the money, whatever it is, just wouldn't appear in their inventory. And we had a bunch of people talking about what the hell's going on, and Jagex even said they're looking into it as well. But then there were posts of people showing videos of it actually happening, where people were able to see that it was a faked video, they were doing some editing to make it seem legit, but it wasn't. And even Jagex came up to say, these trades aren't actually being confirmed on the back end. And it got really weird of people pretending that there's this scam going on. But then some people were saying that there is a scam going on, and it couldn't tell that if just the people, who knows? You know what? What if only we could play some freaking conspiracy music underneath this stuff. What if the people who are making the faked scam videos are actually doing the legit scam, but they're trying to make a bunch of white noise to make people think that it's not actually going on so they can continue doing it? Man, that could be what's going on. It got confusing. So anyways, I ended up getting scrubbed from our talking points this week. Crazy stuff. There's always some sort of scam or glitch going on in this game. Oh boy. But you know what? Playing this game, I'm sure we can all attest that it has made us so much harder to scam in real life. I have major trust issues because of this game, where sometimes somebody's offering me a good deal and I'm I'm not gonna take it. You're probably scamming. I don't trust this coupon I'm looking at. These coupon books, all scams. They're all scams. Oh boy. All right. But hey, let's get into the meat of this segment, which is some of the ways you can support the show. We have a few ways where you can actually support the show if that's something you want to do. And that's via Patreon, patreon.com/TheWildernessPodcast. We have some bonus episodes that go out each month, and some other little goodies. So if that's something, if you want some extra Wilderness Podcast content to supplement your week, head on over there. And I think it starts at $3 a month. We can get some extra bonus content each week. And this week, our special shout out is for Wild Horn. Thank you so much for supporting the show. And of course, our top tier supporters, Splemo, Sejuan, Mallard, Twisted Soul, J Blast, Z Space, and Strosity. Thank you guys so much for supporting the show. And thanks to everyone who does support the show in the past, now, in the future. You guys are the best. You help keep the lights on over here at Wilderness HQ. So I can't thank you guys enough. But we'll try. We'll do it every single episode. We will try. But hey, you know what? If you don't want to use Patreon, but you still want to support the show, you can head over to buymeacoffee.com/Dilz, where you can buy me a virtual coffee instead. So thank you to What's the Matter, MFU, P. Wudo for keeping me caffeinated this week. Okay, let's wrap this bad boy up. And all right, yeah, thanks everyone for listening. Thanks everyone for supporting. All right, we're back. We got an email from none other than Mr. Busco Beep himself, coming in with an update and a question for us. So this is where he is at. He's been giving us some updates. Been fun watching him kind of grind through the game. And he says he's been at NMZ as he's working remote, which is what NMZ is so friggin' AFK. I used to set a little alarm on my phone when I was working construction, like a labor job. I'd keep putting my phone, and every 5 minutes, like 4.5 minutes, I'd open it up, do the absorptions, drink an overload, and put it back in for 5 minutes. It's freaking great for that.
Gaming.
Yeah. So anyways, he's got 99 attack, 99 strength, and about to hit 99 defense, which is going to be coming earlier this week. And he's currently sitting at 45 mil NMZ points. And I'll just say right now, I had a ton of points because I did some AFKing there to get my combat stats up. And I ended up buying the herb boxes because you can make a fair bit of money off of it. Now, the negative part is whenever I want to imbue a new Slayer helmet or some new ring, I have to go back there and grind it out again. And it kind of sucks. So I kind of recommend holding on to some points.
In general, if you plan to play the game for a long time, try to have some long brain, as I call it, some future sight. Try to figure out like how it would be useful in the future. Keep 10 mil of those Nightmare Zone points for sure.
Yeah, or otherwise you'll find yourself back there having to grind it out for Slayer helmets, and it sucks when you are maxed.
Sucks.
It sucks having to get points again. Yeah.
Sure, they're quick, but still you have to spend an hour to get a Slayer helmet imbued. It's so annoying.
It's not fun. Anyways, that's oh boy. He says, I finished Dragon Slayer 2 after leaving the Galvic fight with only 4 HP. After already paying 400k for previous deaths, which isn't bad. I think that's 4 deaths, right? 100k each. That's a hard boss. This is, I just got my Elite Void before I start my Vorkath grind. I'm sure you know the Western Province hard diary requires you to kill Zolvar once. Well, that was about 3 hours for me, with constant deaths and heartbreaks throughout. Another player that was there said it's one of the top 3 hardest fights to learn. My question, Busco Beep's question, was he correct in saying that? What were your hardest bosses to learn? And maybe not so much as hardest as in gear and stat requirements, but more in terms of mechanics and such. As always, on the podcast, keep it up. Thanks so much for the email there, Busco Beep. So, Heartless, you're just coming off the Inferno. When you think of like some of the hardest bosses?
Inferno's number one's not even close.
Not even close. Okay.
I think, it's laughably not even close. I think Corrupted Gauntlet is a really close second. I haven't learned Nightmare. I don't think it's as hard as Corrupted Gauntlet. Fasani's Nightmare. Actually, Fasani's is probably just as hard or harder. So those would probably be the top 3. Can I count solo raids or no?
Yeah, sure.
Then solo raids they're not as hard as Inferno. They're harder than Corrupted Gauntlet though. So
when you think of
I can't compare them to Nightmare yet.
When you're playing through the game, was there any boss that like...
I won't say... Okay, this is what I'll say about Zulrah. As a man who has killed many, many Zulrah, it is the first... It's a big step up from anything you've done previously. So like to actually get to Zulrah doesn't require a lot of gear. You can do it on the cheap. You don't need a lot of like stats really. You don't need a lot of questing to get there. It's fairly easy requirements. For the level of requirements, it's very difficult. Like it's obvious that Inferno and Corrupted Gauntlet is hard, and it's obvious that solo raids are hard because those have high gear requirements for the most part. Maybe not Corrupted, but Zulrah you can get there with 100k of gear and start doing it or whatever, like a trident and a blow, maybe like a few mil, 5 mil. It is a lot to learn. You got to learn how to pray. You sort of add a whole bunch of things together. Pray flicking. If you've done Jad, you're going to be okay at prayer flicking. So you maybe know how to do that, but you have to add in positioning because you're not standing in the right place. You're just going to get destroyed. You also have to add in mechanics, which means like gear switching. So you have to switch your gear as well as your prayers. And then you also, on top of that, you need to add in the memorization part, which is really hard. Like you have to learn his patterns for you to be able to kill him, because you can't move and change your gear if you don't know where he's going to be. So when I learned Zulrah personally, I just hard committed to learning each one of the rotations once. And then by 100 KC, I just had fully memorized all of them. So it was fairly easy after that. So I think personally, I like putting in the time early to learn how to do it properly so that you don't have to use there's a plugin where you can click as you go. But then you don't really want to be crutching on that. I mean, it might be good to learn though. I'm sort of a purist, so maybe don't take my recommendations. But yeah, dude, for its level, Zulrah is really hard.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing where people would say it's one of the top 3 hardest fights. It's like Jad.
I don't think that's just not true, but
I think it's in relation to when people are
exactly
I would consider Jad to be one of the hardest fights only because when you're doing it for the first time, it's so hard. I mean, once you do it once, it's like it's so easy it's so easy. Like I don't think I've ever died.
You have like 9 ticks or something, or between each one of them, right? Oh no, it's like 6 or something. Yeah, it's a lot of time. You're right. Like it is a hard fight. I do think Zulrah is a big step up, though. It teaches you a lot about the game, and your friend is right to say that it's a very difficult fight. Top 3 probably not, but I mean,
I guess it depends.
6 probably.
Yeah, and I think it depends on the scale of like the top 3 hardest. Of course, when you think of top 3 hardest, you're gonna have the Inferno, you're gonna have the Gauntlet,
you're gonna have Solar Raids, etc. Yeah, it's harder than It's significantly harder than Vorkath. Like significantly harder for less reward as well. It's harder than God Wars Dungeon in groups.
Yeah,
it's harder than Wilderness bosses.
It took
harder,
me about,
I don't know what, like it's harder than Hydra. It's harder than there's a whole bunch of things that it's a lot harder than. Considering like Hydra, you need 95 Slayer to get to it.
Oh yeah,
I mean it's harder than Cerberus, which is another boss that people get into quite early. Cerberus has a couple mechanics, right? But it doesn't really matter where you stand. You just need to pray flick properly, and you'll be okay. And you need to eat well. But Zulrah, you need to pray flick properly, switch your gear, stand in the right place, and to know what's going on to be able to get the KCs. So it's a lot of upfront work, and then it turns into quite an easy fight when you understand it. But
yeah, you're
definitely right.
Tricky.
It's no joke, but it's worth learning, man, because that's that kind of content, which I love about Zulrah, is a fun fight, and it's really going to progress your skills.
It's like a stepping stone, that because it's like before 100%. Vorkath, probably. Oh, probably before Vorkath. Well, actually, I don't know, but before Hydra, before Cerberus, you'll probably be at Zulrah. And
and there's team raids, right? Is another thing. Like team chambers is another place where you need to know how to put your prayers on. You need to. I think Zulrah is like harder than learning team raids personally, but you still have to. You have to take the time to learn what your enemy is doing so that you can react properly to them. And Zulrah really makes you do that quite quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, so totally.
If you can learn Zulrah, then you can easily learn Chambers of Xeric and start to get into raiding.
So for me, when I did Zulrah, I think I died 8 times before I got my first kill count. And I remember I went in with the Arams and Carol set up, like using barrows, and I kept dying. And then eventually I went and got Void. I went and I found learning it, and I think you're saying here you have to kill Zulrah for the Void, but I found learning Zulrah with Void was way easier. As soon as I started using Void, I started actually getting kills because you have less switches to do. And when you're learning Zulrah, you're probably not going to be great at switches, like switching gear out. So if you have to switch like top, bottom of Arams, you get staff. So it gets trickier versus one helmet, one weapon.
The thing about Void is that DPS is pretty garbage. I see what you mean, like minimizing your switches. Like you cannot minimize what Zulrah is going to do. You can't minimize your prayer switching. You can't minimize standing in the right place. So the only thing you can do to make yourself have an easier time at Zulrah is to lower your amount of switches.
And I found that like probably just where you're at, like as a skill level as a player, like switches can cause you to lose a lot of DPS. And all I know is that when I went to Void, I was able to do a lot better to learn it. And then eventually when I got comfortable with Zulrah, I switched back to the barrows setup. But learning it definitely helped a lot. And I know it's like, I guess kind of controversial. Some people will say, you don't want to give yourself a crutch like that. You want to learn it with barrows.
But you can just do the same thing with barrows. So imagine you're in your full mage gear. You got barrows, gloves. All you need to do is so you can just camp. Wait a second. I don't really know what his gear is, but let's just say you have absolute bare minimum gear. You have a Fury on, you have an Occult, you have an Aram's top and bottom, and you have a staff. You could just leave on the backpack, leave on the mage boots, leave on like a Serp or a mage helm. All you need to do is bring top, bottom switch, weapon switch, camp your backpack, and then bring your Occult, your necklace switch. So you only need 4 switches. It's the same as Void. Or like Void might be 3. But yeah, you want to keep it to about 4 switches, I think, when you're learning.
So here, Buscoby, this is what you have to do now. You have to be the boots on the ground, do some research. Got to try
do it
both ways and say which is the one that you're able to succeed it with. Which one was easier learning?
Another tip: if you do plan to learn them like one rotation at a time, the rotation, I don't know what number it is, but one where it starts out as ranging on the side, so it will be green, but out to the left on the outside of the island is the easiest one because you can stay in your mage gear for a lot of that. So I would start. A fun trick. You can actually log out if you don't get the rotation you want. So like he always starts in the middle. You can attack Zulrah, and then when he goes down and comes back up, you have a few seconds where you can log out if you don't get the rotation you want, and then you can just log back in and retry it. So I used to do that when I was like forced learning. Maybe just not the best, but I don't know. It worked for me. The feeling you get when you understand Zulrah fully is amazing. Because you feel like a gamer, like you're switching your gears, you're switching your prayers, it's fun, man. It's a really, really fun fight. One of the best in the game, I would say.
The drops aren't as great as they used to be, but hey, there's still some money to be had there.
There's still some money. It's more fun than Vorkath just bolt ragging him from distance,
I am not a fan of the Vorkath. But yeah, thank you so much for that email there. So let's wrap it up, guys. If you do want to email us, you want to tell us where you're at in the game, got some questions, whatever it is, TheWildernessPodcast@gmail.com is where you can do that. We have a Discord server, which is if you want to join bingo. We just finished our Wild Achievement Diaries. So we do a bunch of fun events and we do skills of the week. Discord is where you can kind of stay up to date with all that. Link in the description, or you can go on Twitter @TheWildernessRS if you're one of those Twitter people. Twitter's just getting mad at Jagex over everything.
Just all caps on, rage set to max.
Oh boy. And we have a clan in game. Clan Wild and anyone can join, so feel free to just reach out to join as a guest, see if anyone's on that can add you, and then you can jump in and you'll automatically be enrolled in our skill of the week. So that's fun. And I think that's Heartless. You got anything for us?
Yeah, come join the Discord. We're in there all the time at nighttime. Come make some new friends. It's been a tough year for everyone. It doesn't matter if you're like a noob or like a mid-level player, like come on in. It's always fun. Or if you want to learn raids, specifically if you want to learn raids, it's a really good place to hang out. Lots of people who are happy to teach you. And that's it. Should we fire off a song request?
I was thinking we play the full Inferno music from RuneScape 3. It's pretty good.
I was gonna say, as long as it's that one, since I got the cape this week, we may as well make it an Inferno theme. So
fair, that's fair. Oh, cool.
Send them both back to back, Dilz. Just give the people what they want.
Send them both. That's like 15 minutes of music.
Run it back, dude. They can handle it. Then they can compare.
We're gonna play the full RuneScape discography. So
see you guys next week when it's over. We'll start the new podcast. So at the very end will be our segment.
Okay, so this is the music that is played at the Inferno, and that's all I can say because I can't find it on the wiki, so maybe it's not on there yet. Anyways, it's a good track. We'll see you guys next time. Yeah, thanks for listening.
See ya.
Nah.